Welcome back. This is Mr. Cisneros. In this video, I will be showing you how to create a drawing file for the Automata project. In our previous videos, we created the assembly for the Automata. We made sure that if we rotate the crank here, the cams rotate, the followers follow. Everything looks good here. If you finished that, if you have your assembly completed, you are ready to move on to creating this drawing file. In the other video that's on my YouTube channel, I also showed you how to make sure you have the title block in your Google Drive so that you can open it in Inventor. So if you haven't completed the assembly, if you haven't made sure you have the drawing file, check out those other two videos before continuing on with this one. All right, so I'm going to start by opening up my drawing file. The way I do that is I'm going to go to File and Open. Your drawing file, your master title block template that you want to start with, that's going to be located in your IED folder. For me, it's going to be in my Downloads folder, but for you guys, it's going to be in your Google Drive, in your IED folder. So I'm going to navigate to my Downloads. Again, you go to your Google Drive, and I'm going to open my master title block template. When I open it up, you'll notice that it is just one sheet. It is empty, it has nothing in it. All right, that is good. When we have our sheets here, we'll see that we just have our default border and our title block. That is good. That's everything that we need here. You'll see that we have Schaumburg High School. We'll have a space here for our name, project title. File name will be imported automatically when we bring in the file into that sheet. And then down here on the bottom right, we'll be able to put in scale. All right, so I'm going to start by just adding all the sheets that I need, and that's what you guys can do too. So I'm going to click on New Sheet here. This window will come up, and I can put in my name in all caps, and then I can also put in the project title name, which is going to be Automata Project. This is going to take a little bit of time, so I'm going to try to do this as fast as I can. I'm going to add 12 more sheets, so I have a total of 13. Scale we can leave blank for now because we don't quite know what the scale is going to be for each sheet just yet. So I'm going to click OK, and I'm just going to continue on adding sheets, putting in my name. Here we go. The reason we're creating this drawing file is because we've modeled the Automata, we've designed the Automata, and now we want to communicate our results. So this is the best way that we can do that and achieve that. If we want to communicate this to somebody else, if we want to show somebody on our design team, right? We want to be able to communicate our results, communicate our design effectively, and the best way to do that is honestly through a working drawing like this. All right, so it looks like I have a total of, oops, just about to be 7. We're going to have a total of 13. There we go. What's going to be included in these sheets is going to be multi-view drawings with dimensions. That's going to be kind of like the most important thing to communicate our results and communicate our design. You could even do this for yourself. So say you're kind of trying to build something in your workshop or something like that, where you have all your materials, right? But you're designing this on a computer and maybe on your laptop or your desktop, right? You can't maybe you can't bring that into the workshop. Best way to make sure that you know your measurements for all the parts that you're going to be cutting and things like that is through a working drawing like this, right? So after you create this, you can create a PDF, and you could even print this out so that you could just walk on over to the wood shop with a couple of sheets of paper with all your dimensions, and you're ready to go. So this is good for not only working on a design team, but also just kind of working on personal projects that you have like many different parts that there's just so many dimensions and so many different cuts that you're going to be making that you can't really remember it all. It's a good way to create something like kind of like a reference for yourself. All right, so it looks like we do have 13 sheets, added my name on every single one. If you're unsure about what sheet you're currently in, there's a couple of different ways that we can tell. you can see if I double click on sheet 1, the backdrop on that text turns white. All of the other ones are grayed out. That lets me know I'm in it. Another way that you can tell is by looking at the title block and seeing that it says sheet number 1 of 13. All right, that's where I'm going to start with sheet number 1. And in sheet 1, we'll know that we know that this is going to be our cover sheet. We're not really going to need a title block here, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. The way I delete that title block is by hitting the plus sign next to sheet 1 and then right-clicking title block and clicking on delete. Now that my title block is deleted, I can bring in my assembly. Now here's a nice trick and tip for you guys. Make sure you have your assembly open. If you have your assembly open, it's a lot easier to bring in. If I click on base right here with my drawing file open, you'll see that it automatically brings in my Automata, and that's because I have the assembly open right here. When I bring this in, I'm going to have an isometric view, so I'm going to click on this home button here. And this is a little bit small, so I'm going to change the scale to half scale. I'm going to drag this up a little bit, and I'm going to click on OK. Do make sure that it is shaded. If it's not, all you have to do is double click, and then just make sure that you've clicked on shaded over here, and then you can click on OK again. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add text right below this. So I'm going to go over to my Annotate tab, and I'm going to click on text. Just like we do in Notability and Google Docs, all we have to do to create this text box is click and drag, like so. Then I can start typing. I'm going to start typing my name. I'm going to type in the Automata project. I'm going to type in my class, Introduction to Engineering Design. I type in my school, Schaumburg High School, and then the year, 2021. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of my text here, and I'm going to increase my text size to 0.24. I'm going to center my text by pressing Center Justification, and then I'm going to change my text or my font. Instead of whatever this is, I'm going to search for my favorite font for this cover sheet. It's going to be Copper Plate Gothic Bold. You can choose whatever font you want, doesn't matter, whatever you prefer. I'm going to click OK, and you'll see that my text is kind of going over my isometric view. I don't like that. I'm going to drag that down. But you'll notice that I actually still have my text tool activated. You'll see it's highlighted up there. In order to get out of that, all you have to do is hit escape on the keyboard, or you can right click cancel. Now I should be able to move this, and I can just click and drag this down. There it is. And all I have to do now is go over to the next sheet. Sheet 1 is done. Sheet 2 is something brand new, something we haven't really quite covered yet. We're going to be creating a section view and a detail view. But first we have to, put in our traditional front, top, right side, and isometric like we always do. So we'll start with that. We're going to go back to Place Views. I'm going to click on Base. Automatically, Inventor wants to bring in my front view, which is good. I'm going to just kind of click and drag the front view kind of in the middle bottom area of my sheet. And then I'm going to bring in my top view. All I have to do is hover over my front and click. I'm going to bring in my right side view. I'm going to go over to the right and click. I'm going to bring in my isometric, top right and click. So that again is the traditional front, top, right side, isometric. I'm going to click OK. Also remember that isometric does need to be shaded, so I'm going to double click my isometric and click on the shaded button and then click OK. This is going to be quarter scale, except our detail view is going to be half scale. So we can go ahead and add our scale on our title block by going over to where it says Sheet 2, going over to where it says Title Block, hit the plus sign where it says Title Block, and double click our field text. And then at our last box here that we can type in is for the scale. I'm going to type in 1/4 for quarter scale. Now on to the newest part, something that we haven't completed or done before, section view. Section view can be created by clicking on section, When I click on section, Inventor is going to want me to choose which view I want a section view of. And what a section view is it's able to take a view and pretty much cut it in half or cut it open. And that's what I want to do here, because we have a lot of internal components, as you can see here, the cam, the follower, the big dowel rod here that's inside the Automata. And I can't really see that on any of these views. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click my front view, because that's what I want a section view of. And I'm going to draw a vertical line starting towards the top here. I'm going to try to get it right in the center. The way I do that is by making sure I have this green bubble, and then I'm just going to slowly move my mouse up past the dowel rods, and that's where I'm going to click for the very first time. And then I'm going to see that I have this line that is being created. I'm going to move my mouse straight down and past the Automata. I'm going to click again for a second time. And then to create the section view, I right click and then I go to continue. You can see the section view is created. I'm going to move that over to the left and click. All right. You'll notice that the text is cut off by the title block. That's an easy fix. All I have to do is move my front view up a little bit. That looks good. I can even move my top view a little bit higher. All right, that looks good. We have our section view. You can see, now we can see the internals, right? We can see the cam and the follower. That is our section view. Now I want a detail view. Detail view is going to give us a closer look at the internals. So the connection between the follower and the cam, that's what we're interested in. That's what we're going to get a detail view of. The way we create a detail view, we're going to click on detail up here. And I am going to make a circle. You know what? Let me try that one more time, because it seems like we skipped a step. I'm going to click on detail one more time. When I click on detail, I do have to choose which view I want a detail of. So I'm going to click my section view. And then Inventor is going to want me to draw a circle around where I want a close-up image of. So that's going to be my cam and my follower. So I'm going to just draw a small circle that just kind of circles around the cam and the follower. I'm going to let go of my click here and click once more. And you'll see that the detail view is created. I can kind of just place it up in the top left corner. And there is my detail view. If the dowel rod does cut off the text, it's an easy fix. Just click and drag it up a little bit more. If you see that your detail view is a little bit too big, it just doesn't fit, right? I would just try again and make a smaller circle around your cam and your follower. If you have a really big circle that you create, you're going to get a really big detail view. And that might not fit, so just be careful with that. All right, so it looks like sheet 2 is completed. I am going to move on to sheet 3. Sheet 3 is where we can start creating our multi-view drawings with our dimensions. And what we're going to want to put here from sheet 3 all the way to sheet 13 are our different IPTs, our different parts. So that's front panel, top, right side panel, left side panel, bottom, our follower, guide, dowel rods, all that good stuff. So I'm going to do this maybe for like 2 sheets, and then I'm going to direct you to Schoology so you can see the remainder of the sheets and what those dimensions are. Okay, so I'm going to start by bringing in my front panel. I'm going to go to Base, and you'll notice that I don't have my front panel open, so I'm going to actually have to search for it. The way I search for it is by clicking on this button here. I'm going to go to my Automata folder, and I'm going to look for my front panel. So I'm going to click on front right here. I'm going to click open, and you'll see that the scale is going to be a little bit small. I'm going to increase the size here to half scale. And this is my front view. Front view is always going to be typically for when we're just dimensioning one singular part. Our front view is typically going to be at the bottom left corner. And then I can bring in my top view by hovering over to the top here and clicking. And then my isometric I can place by going over here to the top right and clicking once more. I don't need a right side view just because this part is super simple. There's not that many dimensions to it. With more complex designs, you typically do want your front, top, and right side view. But for this one, and for a lot of these parts, we're just going to have our front and top, or our front and right side. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Remember, isometric does need to be shaded, so I'm going to double click this and go to shaded and click OK. To add dimensions, dimension tool is going to be located under annotate. So I'm going to click on annotate. I'm going to click on dimension. To create your dimension, all you have to do is click on the line that you want a dimension of. So right here, I'm going to have my width dimensioned right here by clicking on this line, moving my mouse up and clicking once more. I'm going to do that again over here for my height. Click, move my mouse over and click once more. For my thickness, I do have to zoom in here, and I can either click on this line or I can click from here and then click here to get that thickness. One thing that you'll notice, when we did extrude this, we extruded this 0.125, eighth of an inch, but Inventor is telling us 0.13. Reason this happens is because Inventor rounds up, right? It rounds up to the 100th place, so 0.13 is what we see. To fix that, all you have to do is double click that dimension. When you double click, this window shows up. You'll have to go over to precision and tolerance, and then you'll have to change primary unit from 2.12 to 3.123. Once you do that and click OK, that dimension changes. So you might need to do that throughout this assignment because some of the dimensions do have to the 1000th place, and Inventor does round it up. So just be aware of that. Try to fix those in any situation that you see Inventor is giving you the wrong dimension or it's rounding it up for you. Okay, so just again, all you have to do is double click that dimension, go to precision and tolerance, and change it from 2.12 to 3.123. All right, last thing to do on this sheet is to add our scale. If you forgot what the scale was, all you have to do is double click your front view. And right here, it'll remind you what the scale is. This is half scale. So over on sheet 3, I can go over to title block, hit the plus sign here, double click field text, and type in 1/2 for half scale. All right, I'm going to do one more, and then I'm again direct you to Schoology for the rest. So I'm going to double click sheet 4. I'm going to bring in, I'm going to go to place views. I'm going to click on base, and I'm going to bring in my top panel. So I'm going to click on top, open. Scale is a little small here, so I'm going to change it to half scale. Bring in my front view, bring in my top view, isometric, click OK. Isometric does need to be shaded. I'm going to double click that, go to shaded, click OK, and now I'm going to add dimensions. I'm going to go to annotate, dimension. I'm going to bring in my width, my height, my thickness, and I'm going to fix that, double click, precision and tolerance, 2.12 to 3.123, click OK. And you'll notice that we do have holes here. So if we have holes, we do want to create a center line on those holes. I can click on this center mark button, click on the circle, center mark is created. Click on the circle, center mark is created. Now we can locate and dimension so that we have the diameter of that hole. The way that we do that for location, we can use dimension. I'm going to click on the circle and then click on my top edge line. That's going to give me my height. Remember that your dimensions, when we add dimensions, we want the smaller dimensions on the inside, larger dimensions on the outside. So I wouldn't want to place my 2.5 like here. Not only does it look weird, we have this extension line going right across that 5 dimension, so that's not good. We want that on the inside. Same thing for our other dimension. For our location, I'm going to click on the circle. I'm going to click on this line, and I'm going to have that dimension right there. All right, that looks good to me. Last thing to do is add the diameter. For a hole like this, I'm actually not going to use the dimension tool. Instead, I'm going to use this tool right here, hole and thread. I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to click on the hole. And the reason I do this is because it gives me a little bit more information. It gives me the fact that this is a through hole. If I did just the dimension tool, we'll do it over here. you'll see that it just gives us the 0.5. Because these holes are the exact same, I'm not going to dimension this one, just the one on the right. All right, looks like this is completed. I'm going to just add my scale. So I'm going to go to the title block, double click field text, and change this to half scale. There we go. All right, so I think that is enough. I think you get the gist of it. For the remainder of the parts, I am going to have you go to Schoology. In Schoology, in the Automata project folder, we do have this document called Automata 2021. And if you click on that, you'll see that I provide you with every single sheet that you'll need to complete yourself with the dimensions. So take a look at this. You'll see that we have just about everything that we did so far. So here's the cover sheet. Here's the multi-views of the Automata. Sheet 3, remember, you do not have to do. I'm not going to require you guys to do this one. So you can ignore this one. You can skip it. If you really want to, you could. You just have to make sure that you create your presentation file. But again, you don't have to do sheet 3. You'll see what we have the front panel here. We have the top panel with dimensions, and then you can continue on. Take a look at this. This is the bottom. Then we get into the side, the cam, and every single dimension here is created for you. So you can pretty much copy exactly as you see here. Do make sure that you are paying attention to the rules of dimensioning. Dimensions, smaller dimensions are on the inside, larger dimensions on the outside. Make sure you are placing the correct views anytime you can. So like here, this view, you would have your front look like this, your top view look like this. If you have it kind of backwards or something like that, it's not the end of the world, but it would be preferred if you copy exactly how you see on this document. All right, guys, the last thing that I am going to show you, I'm going to go back to Inventor, and I'm going to show you how to create the PDF. So imagine that you have this all completed. I'm actually going to open up a document that has it completed. Let's see, is it? Yep, this one. Okay, so this one is fully dimensioned. I have all of the sheets. I have all the parts fully dimensioned here. If you are at this point where you've created all 13 sheets, you've added dimensions to every single part, you're ready to submit this to Schoology. The way that you would do this is by creating a PDF that you can submit to Schoology. The way that you create the PDF is pretty simple. All you'd have to do is go to File, Export, PDF. When you click on PDF, this window will come up. Before you hit Save, please make sure you click on Options and make sure that All Sheets is selected. If you have Current Sheet selected, make sure you change that because if you save while Current Sheet is selected, it will only create a PDF of Sheet 1. So please make sure you have All Sheets selected here. All right, and then at that point you can hit Save. Make sure you are saving that PDF to your Google Drive. That'll make it a lot easier to submit later to Schoology. All right, guys, I think that is it for this video. Hopefully that helped you out. We will see you in the next one.